The 15th day of the 7th lunar month, my whole family had to return to the ancestral hall to pay respects to our ancestors. The ritual lasted for 3 consecutive days. I had just turned 18. Yet, I was already the eldest grand matriarch with the highest standing in the family. Before leading everyone into the ancestral hall, I emphasized multiple times, no outsiders are allowed inside the ancestral hall if they have no blood relation or marital connection with the Bach family. Then leave immediately. Everyone here is family. Everyone knows each other and understands the procedure, even if they don't know the reason. Just by looking at the elder's eyes, everyone obediently follows. Yet this year, a terrible female voice suddenly rang out. Rustic country folk sure have a lot to say. They don't even have enough to eat. Yet they act all high and mighty against outsiders. Truly laughable. She didn't know that this year the Ghost Gate is wide open and it coincides with the lunar eclipse and celestial ritual. If any outsider enters the Bach family ancestral hall, everyone present will die. I stared at the unfamiliar face, gaudy with makeup. Who is this? I've never seen her before. The 86-year-old clan chief next to me quickly explained. Little miss, this is the newlywed wife of my 3rd grandson. By seniority, she should also be addressed as Grand Matriarch. I suddenly realized it's the girl from the wedding who refused to enter and serve tea to me and criticized our family rituals as outdated customs. Why have I never seen her face before? I walked straight up to her and handed her the marriage certificate. She rolled her eyes in disdain, glancing me over from head to toe, determining that I was just a young girl. Her expression became even more arrogant. If she wants to see it, I'll show her. Coming into this dilapidated ancestral hall and still demanding to check documents, why not just put up a ticket booth while you're at it? Pathetically poor yet still acting high and mighty. As soon as she finished speaking, a few kids couldn't help but until laugh. The elder shot them a glare. They fell silent. I stared at her emotionlessly. Not only the marriage certificate, but also her current marital status must be verified. If it cannot be confirmed that she is Bach Ann's legal wife, then today, I will not open the ancestral hall. Of course, she can also choose to leave immediately. Tien Min Cho's eyebrows furrowed in anger. She immediately played a recording. A crying, whining voice. My in-laws are bullying me. I tried to be kind and follow them to the incense offering, but they didn't let me in and scolded me as an outsider. Dad, drive over quickly. One want to destroy this old ancestral hall. See if they still dare act arrogant. Her husband, Bach Ann, stood beside her, sweating profusely, but he didn't dare advise his wife. Only looked at me with pleading eyes. I was no longer lenient like before and remained firm, holding the ancestral hall door tightly, refusing to open. The time for the ritual was about to be delayed, so the clan chief had to step forward to mediate, speaking in a gentle, persuasive tone. Daughter-in-law Bach Ann, please be understanding. Every family has its rules. Since you married into the Bach family, you must follow them. It's just checking the marriage certificate, nothing difficult. 35 years ago, an outsider once rushed into the ancestral hall. They insulted the ancestors, causing the hall to be sealed for 5 years. Don't ruin the opportunity to seek the ancestors' blessings. It only happens once a year. Other elders also joined in agreement. Yes, everyone knows, no outsider is allowed. The Grand Matriarch has led us
For
in
3
incense
years.
offerings, never making a mistake. Do not play tricks. Seeing everyone determined. Tian Minshou also could not wait for messages from her wealthy father. Knowing she was weak, she had no choice but to bow. She reluctantly logged into the Civil Affairs Bureau
She also
website. Couldn't wait for a message from her wealthy father. Knowing she was in a weak position, she had no choice but to bow. She reluctantly logged into the website of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Look carefully, Bai En and I are legally married. Let me make this clear to all of you. After this is over, I will divorce him. At first, I even planned to help you build the road. But now you poor wretches can regret it for the rest of your lives. I checked it myself, the website clearly shows it. Married, not divorced. The website is genuine too. I glanced at her indifferently and said lightly, "Do as you wish." Only then did I open the ancestral hall door. The ancestral hall was very spacious, the floor covered with grass mats. This year, more than 50 people returned home for the ancestral rites. There was enough space inside for everyone to lie down overnight. There was even room to spare. I led everyone to kneel, bow, and offer incense. By midnight nearing dawn, the children's laughter still hadn't stopped. Only after their parents quietly scolded them did they finally settle down. I heard Qin Mingju muttering under her breath, her tone full of contempt. No one here seems sincere anyway. What kind of respect for ancestors is this supposed to be? Just a half-grown brat pretending to be all mysterious and spooky. Nowadays, most people no longer believe in gods or spirits. Especially children, they have no sense of reverence at all. I understand that. So all along, I've never been too strict, forcing everyone to follow the rules. But this year was different. If an outsider were to sneak into the ancestral hall, I didn't dare imagine the consequences, how terrifying they would be. On the second night, I tightened control even further. I arranged for strong young men to check everyone's identity one by one. Those with other surnames had their marital status checked. Those surnamed by had their birthmarks examined, especially behind the ear, the clan's identifying mark. Qin Mingju raised her phone camera. Her dark eyes rolled as she stared straight at me. Don't go too far, or I'll post all your family's dirty business online. Let's see if the netizens will spare you. Even the police wouldn't dare violate my privacy. Do you understand? I raised my hand and made a V sign at the camera. With a calm, expressionless face, I reminded her, remember to turn on the beauty filter. After filming, open the Civil Affairs Bureau website right away. But no matter how vigilant I was, something still happened on the second night. The incense I had just lit had only burned 1 finger's length, when a sudden chill rose from the floor of the ancestral hall. All the children who had been crying or playing fell silent instantly. Everyone broke out in goosebumps. The clan leader lowered his voice and asked me, "Has it suddenly turned cold?" I told someone to fetch a few more blankets. But it was only early autumn, and at night it was still over 20 degrees. How could it possibly be this cold? Just as I was about to answer, the ancestral hall door suddenly slammed shut on its own. The sound echoed like it struck straight into my heart. I jumped up. An outsider had secretly mixed in. Step forward, 1 or 2 of you. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning hostile. Qin Mingju snorted coldly, her tone full of mockery. You've already checked our documents. So what exactly counts as not being an outsider? Do you expect us to perform a bedroom scene right in front of you to prove we're husband and wife? As soon as she finished, several wives immediately frowned. They shot looks at their husbands, signaling them to step in and defuse things. The young men also crowded around by Jin. We call you ancestor out of respect for family ties. Don't push things too far. That's right, you're just an orphan anyway. Your parents died early, and now you want to turn against us too. The clan leader slammed his cane onto the floor 3 times, signaling everyone to be quiet. But the tension, the resentment and anger, how could they be suppressed? A woman standing beside Chin Mingju finally spoke up. If my husband hadn't forced me, I would never have wanted to come to this godforsaken mountain place. Only 2 buses a day. And not even a spot with decent signal to make a video call. I'm done with this. Open the door and let me go home now. I remembered her. Her son, when he was still in her womb, was diagnosed with congenital heart disease. After coming to the ancestral hall to pay respects, the baby was miraculously born healthy. From childhood to adulthood, almost never sick. Yet now it's spoken as if our family forced her to come. I no longer speak kindly. The feet on her body, she came of her own will. Before, when told to leave, she refused. Now can she even leave? The woman deserves whatever she wants. A few people hurriedly ran to pull the door. But it was just a thin wooden door. Yet, even several strong young men could not open it. They began to panic, quickly crowding around me. HOW could this happen? We've never encountered something like this before. Just then, a tiny voice suddenly screamed in terror. Look quickly, the memorial tablet is bleeding. My heart grew even more anxious. Rushed over to check the altar. Sure enough, 9 tablets. At the bottom were oozing fresh red blood. The metallic stench filled the air. Everyone held their breath. No one dared breathe heavily. Just as tension peaked outside the door, where it had been silent, not a single shadow suddenly came to loud bang bangs, as if someone was pounding hard on the door. We all turned to look at the door. Bloody handprints clearly imprinted, red as fresh blood. As if someone was trying to break the door down to rush in. The faint-hearted screamed loudly. Even the strong young men turned pale, blood drained from their faces. I hurriedly pushed them aside. Knelt before the ancestral tablets, banging my head 3 times hard. Then grabbed a handful of incense from the altar and sprinkled it on the door. The bloody handprints finally stopped appearing. Everyone finally sighed in relief. But my face was paler than before. I am not lying. Today, absolutely no outsiders can enter the ancestral hall. I repeat once more. Anyone without blood relation or marriage ties with the Bok family, those people among you, step forward voluntarily. This is the last chance to save that person's life. If you insist on staying in this ancestral hall, then everyone will die together. The clan elder, leaning on his cane, shakily approached me. His aged face full of wrinkles. Still panicked, not fully recovered. What is going on with this? In the past, when ancestors were angry, they would only prevent entry to the hall. Never has something this dangerous happened before. All eyes turned toward me. I sighed wearily, ignoring the terrifying bloody handprints clinging to the door. I opened the window. Look for yourselves. In the sky, the moon was half eclipsed, casting a blood-red light across the land. I warned in a cold voice. In half an hour, the total lunar eclipse will occur. The blood moon will be fully visible. That's when the yin energy is strongest. Wandering spirits and demons attracted to our hall will multiply in great numbers. A few bloody handprints already terrified you. When hundreds of ghosts roam, do you think you'll survive? Some still refuse to accept the truth. The phenomenon is astronomical. Nothing to do with ghosts. Surely she's playing a trick, locking the door, then smearing blood to scare us. Bogcam, what exactly are you plotting? I immediately grabbed that man by the collar. A hand of blood. The figure pierced through the door, extending claws straight toward his face. If I hadn't quickly blocked it with incense, the demon would have ripped out his eye. The man screamed miserably. A foul liquid gushed between his legs. I threw him to the ground. Finding the outsider is the only way you survive. If not, those demon hands will storm in here. Imagine the consequences. Wailing sounds echoed from the hall. No one dared argue anymore. Someone asked tremblingly, "But what if an outsider is found? Then what do we do? No one can get out now." I pulled out a dagger, of course, kill them on the spot. Qin Mingju screamed, "You're far too cruel." My father said it before. Deep mountains and poisoned forests are full of savages. I didn't believe it. Now I do. Do you have any regard for the law at all? I was exhausted to the extreme. When you could still leave, you refused to go. And now you're bringing up the law with me. Two choices, pick one yourselves. 1. Everyone stays put and waits to die, buried with the outsider. 2. Drag that person out. Solve one life in exchange for everyone else. As for me, I won't say another word. Anyway, I can't die. Whatever they choose has nothing to do with me. Everyone exchanged glances. Then someone started reaching out to pull at others' faces. Afraid someone wearing a mask had slipped into the crowd. Outside the door, noises started again. This time it wasn't knocking or pounding, but a heavy, dull sound, as if a huge log were ramming the door. Clumps of earth fell from the cracks in the door. Inside the ancestral hall, screams echoed everywhere. The fear of death overwhelmed everything. I heard someone shout. Who is it, really? Could it be someone here who already divorced without saying anything? And even used a fake marriage certificate to fool us? You have 10 minutes. If you don't come out, we'll beat every outsider surname down to death. After all, the birthmark behind their ear can't be faked, can it? Qin Mingju was on the verge of tears. More and more gazes focused on her. She covered her mouth, almost retching, and hurriedly pointed at me. She knows how. She's not afraid of the ghost hand. She must have a way to save us. At that instant, a suspicion flashed through my mind. I immediately grabbed Qin Mingju's wrist, carefully checking her pulse. Moments later, I jolted awake. She was pregnant. The child in her belly was not Baian's. That child was the only outsider here. Qin Mingju screamed that I was lying. I was still a virgin when I married him. If you don't believe me, ask my husband. The child in my belly must be from the Bai family. I stared at her without blinking. Then why did you hide your pregnancy and say nothing? Qin Mingju froze, stammering, unable to answer. Baian hurried forward to shield her. Ancestor, I believe Mingju. She is absolutely not that kind of person. You must be mistaken. I took a pill out from inside my clothes. Whether I'm mistaken or not, we'll know if she takes this. Qin Mingju stepped back warily. What is that? An abortion pill. One unborn child. In exchange for the lives of more than 50 people in this ancestral hall. Is that really too much? She looked at me as if I were a monster. Stepping back several more paces, pointing at all of us. I understand now. You're all plotting to harm me, aren't you? An abortion in this godforsaken place. Would I even survive to get out? You want to kill me and split the inheritance. You married me just to take all the family wealth, didn't you? Baian waved his hands frantically, shaking his head, almost kneeling down, as if he'd tear out his heart to prove his sincerity. How could that be, Mingju? Heaven and earth bear witness to my feelings for you. Even if I die, I won't let them harm you. At worst, we'll all die together, please believe me. Qin Mingju looked at him doubtfully. But in these circumstances, Baian was probably the only person she could still trust. She slowly took a few steps toward him. But at that very moment, Baian suddenly snatched the pill from my hand and forcefully stuffed it into Qin Mingju's mouth, forcing her to swallow it. Not long after, a hot stream of liquid poured out from between her legs. Outside the door, the bloody handprints gradually disappeared. Baian held her tightly, tears streaming down. I'm sorry. For everyone's lives, I had no choice but to do this. I never thought you would truly betray me. Can we just forget about this? Can we start over from the beginning? Everyone let out a sigh of relief. But their expressions were complicated. Their gazes turned toward that ill-fated couple. At that very moment, the moon was completely obscured. A dim red light filled every corner. Qin Mingju stared fixedly out the window. Cold breaths burst from her throat. I followed her gaze as well, looking outside, cold sweat instantly soaking my back. This is bad. There's still an outsider in the ancestral hall. The night parade of 100 ghosts has begun, and at the same time, all of us heard it above our heads. The shrill laughter of a woman echoing on the pitch-black ceiling. It was impossible to tell whether anyone was there. The clan head hurriedly pulled out a bottle of heart medicine. He stuffed several dozen pills into his mouth at once. Only then did his breathing barely steady. Grabbing my wrist, he asked me in panic, "What on earth is going on? Wasn't Qin Mingzhu's child already aborted? Could there really still be an outsider among us? Even someone like him, who had always been calm, began to panic. Let alone everyone else. Under everyone's gaze. I merely shook my head lightly and said I didn't know either. Maybe our judgment was wrong. But no matter what, the outsider is definitely still in the ancestral hall. Bai En rushed forward and grabbed my collar. My child is already dead. My wife has suffered so much too. And now you say it was a mistake. Bai Jin, do you think just because you're higher in seniority, I wouldn't dare hit you? I looked at him, utterly baffled. It was you who snatched the abortion pills yourself. You were the one who forced Mingzhu to swallow them. That proves you believed it too, just like I did. So why are you turning around to blame me now? Bai En was left speechless. His eyes bloodshot, ferocious like a vicious ghost. He threw a punch. It shot straight toward me. But before he could swing fully, the ground of the ancestral hall suddenly shook violently. Out of more than 50 people, fewer than 5 could stay standing. Everyone tumbled and collapsed into a chaotic heap. Even Bai En was knocked aside. His head slammed hard into the wooden altar. He screamed in terror, "What's going on? An earthquake?" I sneered, "Are you stupid? Our place isn't even on a fault line. Only someone with water for brains would think that." I fumbled under the altar and dragged out a live rooster. I slit its throat cleanly and threw it outside. Stop shaking already, my head's about to split. The rooster's head was still hanging on by a thin strip of skin. It was still twitching, making clucking sounds. But once it was thrown into the darkness outside, it went silent. Only the horrifying chewing sounds of something devouring it remained. Everyone looked at me as if I were a monster. Only a few elderly people still dared to stand near me. As for the young men who had been shouting about science and physics, they had already fled as far away as possible. I smiled gently at them. Don't be afraid, that's the helper I invited. With it here, those wild ghosts won't be able to break in for a while. But we only have 1 hour. Now we have to discuss who exactly the outsider is. Everyone looked at me with gratitude mixed with fear. But when they looked at each other, there was nothing but suspicion. After that shock, perhaps even they themselves began to doubt whether that outsider might actually be themselves. The entire ancestral hall fell deathly silent. I had no choice but to propose the worst yet only plan that could be carried out right now. How about this? We kill people one by one, from the youngest to the oldest. No matter what, the outsider is definitely among us. If we're lucky and kill the right one, the older ones will be spared. I heard several sharp intakes of breath. But no one objected, because they knew I was right. In a situation where we can't tell who the outsider is, better to kill by mistake than to let one slip through. Under the flickering lights, I carefully examined every face, every expression. I placed the dagger over the flame to heat it red hot. At that moment, Bai En suddenly screamed. I already know there is an outsider among us. Among us, there is only one person without a father or mother, without any children, Who can prove her identity? My gaze flicked toward him. Bayan swallowed hard, then raised his hand and pointed straight at me. It's her, by Jin. She's the only one who hasn't been checked. As soon as he finished speaking, the room shook slightly. Inside the ancestral hall, deadly silence fell. The clan head was the first to speak up for me. That's impossible. I personally witnessed little Aunt being born. All these years she has never left the village. She has always stayed to look after the ancestral hall. How could she be an outsider when Bayan's momentum clearly weakened? He still stubbornly clung to his argument. She no longer has parents. No one can verify her background. All of us have clear parents and siblings. There's definitely no problem. But who can guarantee she truly belongs to the Bai family? Bai. His voice grew louder and louder. If you have nothing to hide, then let me see the birthmark behind your ear. I shrug indifferently. If you want to see it, go ahead. Bayan gathered all his courage and stepped closer. Once he saw clearly behind my ear, his face instantly turned pale, filled with panic. It's scales, snake scales. Behind our ears, there is always a white birthmark. Why do you have snake scales? I found it even stranger. My father and my grandfather were the same. Don't you know why? My gaze shifted to the clan head. The oldest person here is you. You should know why. Under my calm yet icy gaze, his whole body trembled, his mouth opening and closing several times. Finally, as if having made up his mind, he shouted, I don't know. The Bai family only recognizes a white birthmark behind the ear. As for snake scales, I've never heard of it. As soon as he finished speaking, those who were still hesitating immediately stepped away from me. Their eyes were filled with confusion and fear, as if I were some kind of demon. Bayan was no longer afraid now. He stood in front of everyone, glaring at me in rage. Bai Jin, I truly never expected you to be this kind of person. You're the outsider who brought the ghosts here. You even made us suspect each other. You almost got my wife killed. You saw that my wife was wealthy and wanted her dead first, so you could seize everything easily. What are you planning? Waiting until we're all dead. Then you'll run away with the money, right? By then no one will know who you really are. Even if you flee to the ends of the earth, no one will be able to find you. After saying that, he shouted, tie this calamity up. Once she's dead, everything will be over. All of us will be safe. I was pinned to the ground, tied up tightly without a single gap. My face scraped against the dusty floor. The rough grit tore my skin, leaving thin trails of blood. Yet I laughed through the pain. So that's how it is. So the truth from back then was actually like this. Bayan's expression suddenly changed. He hurriedly grabbed something from the altar and stuffed it into my mouth. But everyone was already extremely tense. They all heard what I said. Someone whispered, "What did Bai Jin just say?" Bayan hurriedly said, "Don't listen to her nonsense. She must be using demonic words or some kind of bewitching spell or something like that." No one asked any further. It's just that everyone hesitated over how to deal with me now. So what now? Do we really have to kill her? Wouldn't that make us murderers? Bai and answered without hesitation. This is legitimate self-defense. If we don't kill her, all of us will die. The ancestors on the ancestral tablets are watching. They will surely protect us and keep us safe. Once the night parade of 100 ghosts ends, we'll carry her corpse and throw it behind the mountain. As long as no one calls the police, no one will investigate. His eyes also discreetly glanced toward Qin Mingju. That woman had been silent for a long time, without any reaction. The flesh was icy cold, no trace of warmth from a living person. He finally let out a sigh of relief. A gleam of smugness flashed in his eyes that he could not hide. He turned his head to look at me, realizing I was still watching his every expression. A fleeting look of confusion. But very quickly he raised the dagger and thrust it forcefully into my chest. BCM, please make a sacrifice for everyone this once. I will see you off properly for a short distance. The dagger plunged straight into my chest. Before my eyes, the image of my father suddenly flashed. He once carried me on his shoulders, reaching out to pick wild fruits from the tree, laughing loudly, saying, "Little CM, tomorrow is your birthday. What gift would you like? Father, can you take me up the mountain to see the stars?" But he had promised. On the exact day of my birthday, he went to town to buy a cake. On the way back, both he and the vehicle fell into a deep ravine. No bones remained. Every year on my birthday, when I remember my father, I lean against his tombstone. But in my heart, I know clearly that beneath that grave, he is not there. Only two sets of old clothes. I burst out laughing. If father knew what I have become now, he would be astonished. BC-chan's panicked voice rang in my ear. Where's the blood? Why is there no blood? He again used his hands to tightly cover my mouth and nose, his voice full of brutality. I don't believe I can't kill you. But I completely did not resist. As if I didn't need to breathe. BC-chan began to panic. He glanced around, planning to find a large rock to smash my head. But just as he loosened his grip slightly, the sound of a police siren blared from outside. Tien Minshou struggled up from the ground. Stop wasting your effort, BC-chan. If anyone here truly deserves to die, it's you. She raised her phone with the screen off. I have recorded all your words. I also have a tiny hidden camera. Whatever tricks anyone tries in the dark, I know clearly. BC-chan trembled violently. She said, "What?" There's a ghost outside. In this desolate mountain forest, how can there be a police car? Surely it's a hallucination, right? But the door that was tightly locked was pushed wide open from outside. A few people in blue shirts immediately rushed in and restrained him on the ground. Cold handcuffs locked tightly on his wrists. Mr. BC, you are suspected of intentional homicide. Please come with us. BC-chan panicked to the point of madness, hands clasped together pointing at me. It was her who killed. BC-cm killed my wife. Why arrest me? Arrest her quickly, she's the murderer. I'm innocent. I couldn't hold back anymore and blurted out, "Stupid fool." Then gently patted Tien Minshou's shoulder. His wife is right here. Even in normal talk, you need some basis. BC-chan immediately stopped struggling. He looked at me and Tien Minshou standing together. Finally understood. You plotted against me. You are on the same side. You will not die a peaceful death, Tien Minshou. Beseech CM, even as a ghost, I will not spare you. He was shoved into the police car. My eyes glanced at the clan chief sneaking out. Uncle, where are you going? Why are you leaving so quickly? Is your conscience uneasy? The clan chief forced a smile at me. I haven't slept for 2 nights. I want to find a place to rest for a while. I'm just heading to the police car. The Kia is ready for you. Get in and rest comfortably. His face aged like 10 more years. He looked at me and sighed. Indeed, you know everything. 35 years ago, an incident happened at the Beseech family ancestral hall. That night, 7 people entered the ancestral hall, and my grandfather died. The clan chief could not accept being suppressed by my grandfather, and seized the right to perform ancestral rites, monopolizing the treasures left by the ancestors. He colluded with 5 others, and killed my grandfather. Outside, they spread rumors that my grandfather led outsiders into the hall, provoking the ancestors, leading to sudden death. Since then, the rule was established. Outsiders are not allowed to enter the ancestral hall. But everything that happened that night, my father saw while hiding outside, and later told me. All these years, he has carried resentment in his heart. The village chief always feared my father would report him. So he thought that when my father came to town, it was to report the case, and immediately sabotaged the car brakes. But that day, my father just wanted to buy a birthday cake for me. In the following years, he saw me growing older and more mature, soon to leave the mountains and escape control. But he could never find the Beseech family treasure. He tried many times to kill me but failed every time. In the end, he had to repeat his old tricks. Beseechin is the descendant of those bandits from long ago, and the most capable of his accomplices. And just when Beseechin led Tien Minshou back, it was to take her life. It was all just a staged murder scene. Last night, even if I hadn't said she was carrying an illegitimate child, they would still have defamed her to kill her at all costs. Tien Minshou wore my coat, her body trembling in waves. If she hadn't told me these things, I truly wouldn't have imagined that he could be such a beast in human form. If everyone were incited by him to execute me, then they would all be accomplices. No one would stand up to defend me. Because the people are concentrated in this mountainous place, even the law could do nothing. I lowered my eyes. Sometimes humans are scarier than demons. Tien Minshou watched the police car disappear. Over the horizon, the first sunlight just peeked through. The ancestral hall was still that old wooden house, completely showing no traces of the horror that had unfolded. On the wooden door, the bloody handprints painted in red were still clearly visible. She suddenly turned to ask me about what happened last night. It was all just an illusion, right? I tilted my head. I had told her everything. Why worrying about it anymore? Before, Beseechin only knew how to perform simple tricks, and her face was decent. Her figure was fine, and she spoke sweetly like honey. That was enough to fool a love-struck queen like her. What else? Tien Minshou's face flushed red. She raised her hand to cover my mouth. Ah, don't say any more. That's a stain on my life. If you still want to be friends with an old rich lady like me, it's best to forget all about it. I silently covered my mouth. Not for any reason, she had already given me too much. I placed my hand on her slightly protruding belly. Don't hold back anymore. The Beseech family bloodline isn't worth inheriting. She looked at me with a complex gaze and said I was right. I'll go to the hospital first. My parents already registered me. If anything happens later, don't hesitate to come to me. I smiled and nodded. After completing all statements at the police station, I returned to the ancestral hall alone. The night of July 17th, the third day of ancestor worship, I was the only one left in the hall. After saying that, I sat on the snake scale cushion, the side crack slightly shining. A small snake, only thumb-sized, coiled around my finger. I gently stroked its head. Its ruby red eyes glimmered with tiny sparks. So tiny, I know one chicken won't be enough. Wait for me to catch another one, okay? You think it's easy to find a rooster egg hatching at the exact lunar time and month? I sighed softly. The thing that the clan chief and they couldn't find, even if they dug every inch of earth. Is this snake? And I am its true form. I am the white snake guarding the Beseech family, blessing this clan with peace for generations. But human hearts are easily changed. The Beseech family today is no longer the clan that once formed a bond with the white snake. I came here while pregnant, just to settle karma with the Beseech family. But recalling the past 15 years, my adoptive father loved me dearly. My heart twisted painfully at the thought. The little white snake tightened around my finger. Waiting until the sun rose high, the incense in the Beseech ancestral hall completely extinguished, I held it and left the hall, never to return. As for the bloody handprints on the full moon night, the blood-soaked tablets, the demoness's seductive smile, real and fake intertwined, who can distinguish clearly? Full text ends.